I will be forever the myth.
You're the king of kings, son.
There's always a pecking order. The little packers never mess with the big packers. So I'm a rooster, and he's a chicken, so to speak.
All right, welcome back to the Bodybuilding Legends Podcast. I have a very special guest with us this week, Mr. Steve Weinberger. Steve is the head judge of the NPC Pro League, and he's also the co-owner of Bev's Gym out in New York. So it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us, Steve.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, Steve, you've been in the game a long time, just like I have. So I thought we could talk about some old school bodybuilding, which is what we do on the podcast. So maybe if you could just start from the very beginning and tell us like how you got involved in weightlifting, what got you involved in the bodybuilding world.
Just as a kid, I liked lifting weights. I had those plastic sand weights, and I used to lift them in my bedroom.
Yeah.
You know, and then from there, I went to a gym. First gym was a gym called Zane's Gym.
Okay.
It was a bodybuilding gym. I went there, and the rest is kind of just history. That's when I started volunteering at the bodybuilding shows.
Oh, really?
I started out as a 19-year-old runner backstage. You know, go get this, go get that, and that's what I did. And
yeah,
from there I went, you know, and actually I met Bev, and Bev and I started training together, and then, you know, we got together and we got married, and we were putting the movie Pumping Iron 2.
Yeah, I want to talk about it.
Decided to open up a gym.
Okay.
And the gym we thought was just going to be just a little hardcore, you know, little gym that was just going to really be for us, and it ended up being much bigger than what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah. What year was that, Steve, when you guys opened the gym?
86.
86. Okay. So when you were a runner and you were 19 years old, who was promoting the shows back then? Do you remember?
Amelia, unfortunately.
Oh, was he? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Now, how did you meet Steve Michalik? Because when I saw Pumping Iron 2,
I got to be honest, Steve Michalik was, you know, I'm just going to call him no punches, was a total piece of shit.
Oh,
a
really?
liar, not a good guy.
Really?
I met him because he claimed to have trained Bev. I got to be honest, he never trained Bev.
Mm-hmm.
When Bev came to America, she was already in shape. I forget the guy. It was an Australian bodybuilder that helped her out because she was already a 5-time world powerlifting champion. She had more than enough muscle. She just had to dial it in. But Steve Michalik already had a ticket to Hollywood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was a great entertainer, a bullshit artist, whatever you want to call him.
Right.
And he took it and tried to make it that he created her. So, you know, we had a little bit of a problem with him. We had to shut him up.
Oh, okay.
But neither one of us were a fan of his, to tell you the truth. He took it and tried to turn it into something for publicity for himself.
Okay.
Is what he tried to do. The reason we ended up in Michalik's gym was George Butler and Wayne were producers of the movie Pumping Iron 2.
Right.
And Bev was staying in New York. And that was the closest bodybuilding gym to his house. It was about 10 minutes away. So that's how we ended up there. It was no like, oh, we found the Holy Grail. It was just, you know, it was convenience.
So you said she was in shape already in Australia before she got here.
I'm trying to think. It was a Mr. Australian. It was not John Torelli. He was a really, really nice guy that really helped us out. He was really, you know, it's so long ago. I'm getting senile. I forget his name, but he was a big name in Australia, and he was the guy that really started with the diet and everything else. You know what I mean?
Okay. So it was George's idea to put Steve in the movie. Why did they do that? Because he had a personality or something?
No, just his gym was close.
Oh, I see.
And that's where Bev was training.
Okay.
It was just convenience, honestly. It could have been anyone's gym at that time that had a bodybuilding gym that was close to where Wayne lived.
Yeah. Did you know Steve first before that?
Not really, no. And
oh, really?
honestly,
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I started training at his gym there, and then I didn't stay there very long, honestly. He was very much full of himself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He was the smartest man in the world. Just ask him.
Yeah. So how did you get into the movie? Did they ask you to be in the movie, or did Steve ask you?
Yeah, my job was to look after Bev. When she came to America, my job was to show her around, just take her to the gym, whatever she needed, just kind of look after her. At that time, I was 21.
Wow.
And that's what I did, you know, and Bev Bev is 6 years older than me.
Yeah, yeah.
And, it blossomed from there.
Yeah, yeah. Now, did they kind of set that scene up like at the airport when you guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The movie was already done when that was set up.
Wonder what she looks like. I don't know, but she's stronger than Arnold, so she must be pretty big.
Hope she knows what she's in for. You never trained a woman before.
I know, but I'm going to train her like I've trained anybody. I don't care if she's a woman. I'll train her as hard as I've trained any man. This is a challenge for me, too.
It's going to be rough.
Yeah. Let's say we go meet her.
Through gate number 7, Deportivo Flavio, flying area 7 Fish.
Hey, I think this is her. That's her. Oh my God, look at the size of it. Let's go.
Bev Francis? Hi, I'm Steve Michalik. Welcome to America.
Thanks, Steve.
I want to meet my friend here, Big Steve. He trains with me. He's a powerlifting enthusiast.
Hi, Steve.
How you doing? I read a lot about you.
Good things, I hope.
All good. How was your trip?
It was long and tiring, but it was okay.
So what do you want to do? You want to get some rest, or you want to go take a look at the gym?
I'd like to look at the gym. I didn't come here to just lie around in bed, so let's get into it.
Okay, let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was just a kind of a way to introduce us all together.
Right.
That part of the movie was set up, yes. A lot of that movie was 100% legit, but they had to have like certain little parts to just show everything.
Yeah. They kind of did that in Pumping Iron too, didn't they? They kind of set up scenes to like introduce the continuity of the movie, the story. Yeah, yeah. Now, what did you think about women's bodybuilding back then? Because it was kind of just beginning, right? It was only a few.
I loved it. I loved it. Not Diana Dennis. Deborah Diana was my favorite.
Oh yeah, I remember her. Yeah.
Okay. She had a really good body. That was my favorite at the time.
Okay. So the whole controversy of that movie was they had a muscular bodybuilder like Bev.
Yes.
Someone like Rachel or like most of the girls looked back then.
All the girls that were competing at the time, that were, Rachel, Cutler, there were
Lori Bowen,
Chris Alexander. Those were the girls that were competing, and they wanted to bring a girl in heavily muscled. And I guess one of the producers was reading Iron Man magazine, or it was either Iron Man. Well, it was Iron Man magazine, but it was a picture that Robert Kennedy sent in of Bev hitting her most muscular, and they thought she would be great as the villain. You know what I mean? As the girl that really has muscle that is competing, and really that's how it started. It was a little most muscular shot of Robert Kennedy that he sent into Iron Man magazine.
Yeah. Okay. What did you think of the movie when it was finished?
I mean, I thought it could have been done a better job. Honestly, I mean, I was disappointed because I was disappointed in the placings. That last scene where I said, explain it to me. That was really me. That was not, that was honestly. I mean, you either put her in first place or you put her in last place. You don't put her in ninth place or eighth place.
They can't accept a new concept.
New concept. That is bodybuilding. The girl with the biggest muscle, with the most shape, and the girl that could pose. What new concept? No new concept.
What do you think, Steve?
There's nothing to say. Same old story.
Room service? Yeah, I'll hold.
Kicking a pretty girl.
Italian food.
That they call pretty. Girl with well, Carla's got a little bit of muscle. I mean, it's not like she's a
Yes, this is
skinny toothpick.
321. And I'd like a broiled New
Tina
York
Plackinger?
cut steak.
What did Tina Plackinger have over Bev? What did Carla have over Bev? You tell me. Maybe I don't see nothing. Maybe I'm stupid. You explain it to me.
Medium.
Explain it to me.
Yeah.
Explain it to me.
Yeah.
That just doesn't happen either. She's the best or the absolute worst.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting how they tried to sell that movie. They tried to just make this big controversy. I remember, I think Charles Gaines was questioning the judges in one of the scenes. And he was saying, how can you stop a woman from becoming more muscular? It's like asking a woman sprinter not to go as fast, So that's how they set the whole thing up.
We hope that this evening we can clear up the definite meaning, the analysis of the word femininity and what you have to look for. This is an official IFBB analysis of the meaning of that word. What we're looking for is something that's right down the middle. A woman that has a certain amount of aesthetic femininity, but yet have that muscle tone to show that she's an athlete.
I object to being told that there is a certain point beyond which women can't go in the sport. When you say that they should look athletic but not too masculine, what does that mean exactly? I mean, it's as though the U.S. Ski Federation told women skiers that they could only ski so fast.
We want what's best for our sport and best for our girls. And we don't want to turn people on. We want to off. We want to turn them on.
We are in the 1980s, gentlemen. I mean, who are we to say what looks like a woman and what doesn't? And who are we to say that a woman can only go so far?
Come on, you guys. One day we should talk to all the judges all over the world together. Because this thing here happens every time we have one judge we haven't seen for 2 or 3 years.
This is a watershed competition in the sense that in this competition, we all know this, there's no point in talking around it, there will be a female bodybuilding competitor who has gone beyond what any other woman bodybuilder has so far presented.
We're here to protect the majority and protect our sport. If you have the majority of the girls that absolutely say, hey, let's go for these big, grotesque muscles and let's go to the ultimate, so be it. Okay? But we are following what the majority wants. I just want to say that women are women and men are men, and there's a difference, and thank God for that difference. That's all I have to say.
Now, when you got into bodybuilding, who did you look up to? Did you have any guys that were like your favorites when you were a kid?
Believe it or not, you probably won't even know him. You probably don't even remember, but when I was in high school, I don't know if you remember Annabelle Lopez.
Sure. Yeah, I remember him. Yeah.
He had a little health food store, and he had a little gym in his garage, and he was the first guy that really showed me what was up. Honestly.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I've interviewed Annabelle.
My favorite of all time, believe it or not, was Lou Ferrigno.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That was my favorite bodybuilder.
Did you get to know Lou back then?
No, I became good friends with him after a couple of disagreements with his placings at the Masters Olympia. We kind of, clashed a little bit. He wasn't happy when he lost to Robbie.
Right.
But, I get along great with Lou now. I love him.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it seems like you've always liked the more muscular, the bigger guy. So I was wondering.
Definitely, I always did. The Bertle Foxes, those kind of bodies. I loved muscle.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So that's kind of like when you were with Bev, you kind of believed that she should have did better.
Yeah, when I first saw Bev, she freaked me out. I was like, I never saw a woman like that. I was like, I don't know about this, to tell you the truth. Mm-hmm. But then I got to know her personality and everything. We just got along really well. But when I first met her, I was like, I don't know, man. This is maybe a little too much for me.
Right. So when did you first get into the judging then, Steve?
In 87.
87, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so it was like several years after the Pumping Iron movie then?
Yes.
Okay. And what made you want to get into that?
I just love bodybuilding,
Yeah.
I did powerlifting because I wasn't good enough to be a bodybuilder. I didn't have the shape. I knew I didn't have the shape. I had wide waist, short arms, biceps with no triceps. I just didn't have the shape to be a bodybuilder. So why try to bang my head against the wall when nothing was going to happen? So I went to powerlifting.
Okay. How'd you do in powerlifting?
Good. I did good, but honestly, Bev was the star. So I really, at powerlifting, I went up to 300 pounds. I had some pretty good lifts, but all of our energy and our time went into promoting Bev because she was really good at what she did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She was world champion powerlifter 6-time, world champion bodybuilder. And, I just was really the bag carrier. Bev was the star.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you got into the judging then about a year after you guys opened up your gym then?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So how often or how long did you do the powerlifting for?
I did it for about 5 years.
Okay. So then you decided to get into the judging because you were in the gym business and you were already in the.
Well, I wanted to be a judge. I'd sit there and I picked, everything, and then I'd say, look, I could do this, just let me judge. And then, I was sitting in the audience judging by myself, figuring it all out.
Yeah. What were some of the big shows you saw when you were younger? Did you ever see the '84 Olympia? It was in New York.
I did. I was at the '84 Olympia.
Yeah.
If you look right here, you can't. Oh, it's hanging up. I have one to see these medals.
Yeah.
I have one from '84. This
Oh,
one's
really?
from '96. But
Okay.
yeah, I was there. I was also at the '82 Nationals when Lee Haney won.
Oh yeah, that was
I
in New
saw
York.
Lee Haney win the Nationals. I saw Lee Haney win the Night of Champions.
Yeah.
And I saw Lee Haney win the Olympia, all in New York.
Wow, cool. What was the first Olympia you saw?
The New York one.
The New York one? Okay. Yeah.
In 1984.
Yeah. What'd you think of Lee Haney when you saw him at the Nationals?
Oh, I honestly didn't know which way to look. Him or Matt Mendenhall, they both looked great.
Mm-hmm.
They really did. They were both unbelievable.
Yeah.
Lee Haney just flawless, and honestly, so was Matt Mendenhall. But Matt Mendenhall never took that next step. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
To be a star. I mean, he was a star. I mean, he had
Yeah.
a contract. He was, huge, but Lee Haney was the man. I mean, he honestly, to me, he's the greatest of all time. Not just because he's a great bodybuilder, but he retired so young and he's such a great person.
Yeah.
I mean, we're never going to see anybody with 8 Olympia titles done at 31. We'll never see that again.
Right. I know. Yeah. His career was really unbelievable. I mean, he won the first.
Amazing.
He won the Teenage Mr. America. So he was a champion as a teenager. And then he won the first Junior Nationals. Then he won the Nationals. Then he wins the Universe. And then, like you said, his career was unbelievable. He won 8 Olympias in a row. And I think he only lost like a couple times. I think he only lost like 2 pro
He
shows.
lost in Europe to Muhammad Makawi.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah.
That's who he lost to. And he was so disappointed he was going to quit. It was Jim Mannion that said, "Are you out of your mind?"
He was really going to quit?
If I can't beat this guy, what am I doing? He was like that.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, the greatest of all time.
Yeah. You know what else I love about Lee too is how he handles loss and how he is as a character, like you said, because I remember when he lost to Muhammad and he picks him up, like a real champion would, instead of getting mad about it, he acted like a champion.
He's pure class, class.
Even to this day, he's
absolutely
he's a great representative. Yeah.
He's the best.
Yeah. So tell me about that '84 Olympia, because that was the one that Sergio came back, and there was a lot of
press. That was great. Yeah. Sergio was backstage pumping up in one of those plastic, He had one of those things on, pumping up, and he was doing dumbbell curls for about 25 minutes, and they're like, "Sergio, it's time to go on," and I'm not ready, in his voice, his squeaky voice. I'll tell you when I'm ready. And my phone's ringing. I'm sorry. Let me just.
No, that's all right. That's cool.
And they waited for him when he was ready.
Wow.
Lou Ferrigno was there watching him.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I mean, that was my first Olympia. So think about that. That was my invite, to bodybuilding, the '84 Olympia.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it was so crazy. I seen the videotape of that. I wish I would have went to that one, but the crowd was going so crazy.
Hitting his legs.
Yeah.
Sergio hitting the most muscular.
Yeah, that was the one where he kind of had like the old guard of bodybuilding. You had Mike Boyerko was in it, Bill Grant, Albert Beckles, Chris Dickerson, and then you had all the new guys coming in too. McAway and Samir was there, and then you had Sergio, of course.
Right. It was definitely the changing of the guards, but that's another guy that really helped me out a lot, and also helped Bev out a lot. Was Albert Beckles. I became very close with him.
Oh, really? Okay.
We stayed with him in California. He was very good. He really welcomed us with open arms. He was great.
Yeah. What was the next Olympia you saw after that, Steve? Did you start going to some of the bigger Olympics?
I think it was '86. I think it was '86 Los Angeles.
Columbus.
I was in '86.
Okay. All right.
I went to just about every single one after that.
Yeah.
Except for a couple.
Okay.
And I was at all the Nationals.
Wow. Okay.
The first one being the first Nationals in '82, the one that Lee Haney won. That was the first Nationals ever.
That was the first one you saw.
That was after the split with the AAU and the NPC.
Yeah. I remember that.
That was in New York City. That was in Manhattan.
Right. When did you start judging like the national level shows and the pro shows?
Well, the pro shows I started judging the men in like 90, and then I started judging everything when Bev stopped competing in 91.
Okay.
Because when Bev was competing, I wasn't judging women. I was I was, certain shows I was judging.
Yeah. Okay.
But then after like about, I think it was maybe 94, I started judging everything.
Okay. All right.
I might be off by a year or two. I told you, I'm a little senile.
No, you're doing good. How did you feel it was back then with the pro shows? Who was like your favorite? Did you agree with the way the Olympia was going? Oh, well, in '94, that was like Dorian, right?
Yeah, I mean, Dorian, that's why I did not judge any Olympias for when Dorian was competing, because Dorian trained in my gym for the Olympias.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Any Olympia that Dorian, any show that Dorian competed in, I didn't judge. So those Olympias, I had to stand out. It's only when he stopped, and then it was in New York again, when Ronnie won, when I was judging the Olympias again.
Yeah.
But I was judging the other shows, just not the Olympia.
Yeah. When did you first meet Dorian? Because I know you guys were really close.
I met him when he came to New York for Night of Champions.
Okay. So that was 1990, right?
And that was the year he lost. He lost to Benazza.
Yeah, yeah. And that's when you first met him?
That's when we became friends. Yeah, we clicked. And then he started staying at my house and training at the gym.
Yeah. What did you like about Dorian? It was more than his physique, right?
His discipline.
Yeah.
Unbelievable discipline. And when it was 8 o'clock, it was time to eat. And it was at 11 o'clock, it was time to train. And it didn't matter what was going on. It's he's a different guy now. But back then, to know him, it was unbelievable. I mean, he's more of a regular guy now. He's kind of a laid back, easygoing. But he was a robot. He was a total machine.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he liked you too. You guys were close friends, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're still close.
Yeah.
He lives in Spain now.
Yeah, right, yeah. So that when he got really big, that was 93, I think, the second year that he won. And it's kind of famous now where he guest posed at your show and everybody was freaking out. That's when everybody freaked out. Yeah.
That's when he took those underwear pictures.
Right. Right. What show was that you guys were promoting?
That was the Atlantic States, the Bev Francis Atlantic States. We still run that show.
Oh, really? Okay. Wow. Yeah. Now, if you were going to compare like Dorian to Lee Haney, what would the comparison be?
Well, I mean, Lee Haney beat him. The next year, I don't think Lee would have beat him, but I think Lee Haney has a much more pleasant physique to the general public, where Dorian is the mass monster.
Mm-hmm.
Where Lee, I think Lee is a more sellable body to the general public.
Yeah.
Where Dorian is hardcore bodybuilding.
Yeah. Do you think that's when bodybuilding kind of changed a little bit when Dorian came into the picture? And
that's when the mass monster started coming.
Yeah.
Dorian was the beginning of that, honestly. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I told you I was putting together this video for Samir, and I was looking at his '83 Olympia. And some of the guys in there McAway was second. So you had these really smaller, more ripped guys that were doing really, really well. And then it seemed like it got to, after a certain point, it was that you had to be a certain size.
Right. Yeah, I think Dorian did that, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think if somebody came in like a Samir and he didn't do classic and he did open, do you think he would do well? Or do you think it's just, you think it would?
I still think those bodies would do well. I really do.
Yeah.
I honestly do.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear, because I was wondering about that, because I thought the judges would look at it like it's advanced so far now. These guys are so big that they wouldn't accept anybody unless they were like a certain size.
No, I mean, look at Sean Clarita. I mean, he was a little guy that did good against big guys. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I still think it's the symmetry, the muscularity, and the shape.
Yeah. So that's really important criteria as far as not just the mass.
No. I mean, mass is important, but mass is not the end all.
Yeah.
You can get a guy. I still think a guy 220 pounds could beat a guy 270 if they're both in really good shape. Mm-hmm. I really do believe that.
Yeah. Yeah, because a lot of people feel like bodybuilding, it has advanced, or it's the evolution of bodybuilding is that they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But bodybuilding is different than in other sports, because it's not about how much weight we lift or how fast we run. It's about how the physique looks, right?
Right. Honestly, I mean, I bet you a guy like Chris Bumstead would do good in the open.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Yeah,
I really do. I mean, got beautiful shape, great legs. I mean, I'm sure he would be very competitive in the Open.
yeah, yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's really like who looks the best, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not about who's got the biggest arms I mean, if Rami would still be winning. I mean, he's not in good condition. He's the biggest guy, but his shape is the last couple of years is taking a turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let me ask you about the posing, Steve. I saw you. I think you were debating Milos on one. I think it might have been Dennis.
Right. I know Milos is so. I mean, I understand what he's saying, and I get it, but it's still bodybuilding. I don't look at it as art. Some people look at it as art. I still look at it as a sport, and those mandatory poses tell you everything. Yes, it's entertaining if a guy wants to pose, and yes, posing was better maybe 5 or 10 years ago than it is now because the guys don't put as much into it, but you still have to judge the body.
Yeah.
I still think those mandatories tell you about everything. You hit those mandatories right, fine. But if you want to also put some flair into it, I have no problem with that. You know what I mean? But I don't think it should be judged on a dance. I really don't. On performing, a little bit. Like if you've got, I can see if you have two guys that are absolutely identical and one guy put a better posing routine together and needed a tiebreaker, maybe that would work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But as far as judging the routine to judge the routine, I disagree with that. I think the mandatories are really where it's at. I really do. But it would be nicer and more entertaining for the guys to do better routines.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to see that too. I'm not against it. I'm really not against it.
Yeah.
Not like it shouldn't be. But I don't think it should be a whole round pose for that. You still have to take the whole body into effect.
Yeah. So do you think it should be judged like it used to be or no?
Honestly, it's okay if it's judged like that. Either way, but I'm judging the body. As a judge, I'm judging the body.
Yeah.
You know, am I entertained? Yes. Is it nice? Yes. Is it pleasing? Yes. But I mean, a guy that's not as hard or not in the same condition with a great routine is not going to beat a guy in great condition.
Right, right.
I'm not giving it to him. It's not fair.
Yeah,
well, maybe the guy took, dance or whatever. It's not. It's no. I still think it goes back to the body.
Yeah. What made me think of that was you just mentioned Lee Haney winning the Night of the Champions.
Right.
And I've got that magazine from Flex Magazine, like from 40 years ago, and I read the article. And they were judging each round. So they judged the symmetry round, they judged the muscularity round, and then they judged the posing. And so Greg DeFaro was second in that contest. And I guess he was a little bit leaner, than Lee. But he didn't place as high in like the symmetry or the muscularity, I think because of his shape, because he was kind of blocky.
He had a thick waist. He had a very thick waist, Greg DeFaro. He had a lot of very good muscularity, but he did not have a pleasing physique.
Right, right. So then when it got to the posing round, I guess that he worked on his posing. I think he actually worked with Samir, now that we're talking about it. But he had a great posing routine, and all the judges put him like first or second in the posing round. And Lee, I guess, had not really developed his posing that well at that time because he was still an amateur. I mean, he was a pro, but it was his first year as a pro. He was a rookie pro.
Right.
And he placed lower in the posing round and in the pose down, and then he beat Greg by 1 point. So it was interesting to see how they judged the posing, and they put so much emphasis on that. And Lee ended up winning the show only by 1 point, even though he had a better body because of Greg's posing.
And that's why I don't think we should judge the posing routine on posing alone, because there's no way Greg DeFaro should have almost beat Lee Haney.
Because
he would have beat Haney, that would have been really bad for the sport, in my opinion.
Okay.
Because that's the wrong body representative.
Yeah. What about someone like McAway, who was like in the '84 Olympia, and he got second place?
That's a guy that could pose and look really good.
Yeah.
That's a guy that could maybe beat Lee Haney if they're very close. That I could see.
Yeah.
He has a great physique, better than Greg DeFaro. If those guys are close, now that's something where I could see if the guys are close, very, very close in the body, and Muhammad kills him in the posing routine, well then, yeah, he gets that round. I could see that.
Right. So what you're saying is they got to have the physique first. And
absolutely.
And then if they're a good poser, Then you could see him.
Otherwise, guys like that just know how to pose will do really well. And that's just not fair to the bodybuilders.
Yeah.
It's still bodybuilding. It's still muscle.
Right. Yeah, I remember Lee Haney saying that after he lost those Grand Prix to McAway, he said he really had to improve his posing because that's why McAway beat him, And Lee did become a good poser, when he was doing his Olympias.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they should put more effort in posing. I don't disagree with that. I really do.
Yeah, I do
but
too.
I don't think it should change the results. That I don't believe in.
So you don't think it should be judged separately, like a separate round?
You still have to judge that body.
Do you think
the posing routine with the body? Take your body to the best it can in the condition you are.
Do you think a lot of judges would have a hard time scoring that? Because if they were just looking at the posing and they weren't looking at the physique, do you think a lot of them would get confused about that?
Then they shouldn't be judging.
Yeah, right. So you've always got to take the physique into account first, which I agree with.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. It's bodybuilding.
Yeah. So how much of a bodybuilding, like you said, it was a sport. How much do you think it's a sport compared to an art?
I still think it's a sport because it's a sport. You train every day. You're in the gym every day, and you're not running. You're not playing football or baseball, but you're training every day, and to me that's sport. You know what I mean? Yeah. Posing is an art. I will say that, but actual comparison. Compulsories is a sport. You have to know how to hit those poses. Right. You got to know how to hit a front double bicep. You have to know how to pop your lat out. You know how to show the sweep on your thigh. I mean, you really have to know how to pose. It's not just, you hit a front double bicep. I mean, there are ways to hide bad body parts and present good body parts in a better fashion where you don't see the bad body parts. I mean, to me, that's a little bit art, but it's still sport. Yeah. Do you think learning how to present your physique on stage, Steve, is it seems like some people have better body awareness than others, Yes, absolutely. And I know a lot of it is practice. So important. Yeah. Because there's some people that get up there, they have a great body and they just don't know how to position their body right. And I don't know how much of it is experience or they just don't know, they don't have the body awareness, I don't know if they practice posing. Posing is just as important as training. I mean, especially those last 10 weeks, you should be posing every day, at least a half hour. I agree. Yeah. It's very, very important. Presentation is everything. You can have the best body in the world. Like, look, Lee Haney had the best body in the world and Muhammad beat him. Why? Presentation. Yeah. Do you think the posing has gotten a little worse over the years? I mean, when I think back to guys like... Unfortunately. Yeah. Compared to where it was, I do, yes. I mean, I'd like to see it come back a little more. Yeah, like Lee Labrada, even like Kevin Lebroni was great. Yeah. Sean Ray was great. Lee was great. Sean was great. Yeah. Flex was great. Even Chris Cormier was great. Yeah. There was a lot of great poses back then. Those guys really put effort into it. I mean, it's just it's not as much as it used to be. I like to see a little bit more, but I still don't want to judge posing. I want to judge the body. Yeah. Okay. One other thing I wanted to mention was it seems like looking at the Olympia, like when we used to watch the Olympia years ago and Lee won, 8 in a row and then Ronnie won 8 in a row and Dorian won 6 in a row. It seems like now the judges won't give the Mr. Olympia title to Mr. Olympia just because he's the reigning champ. They're more likely to take it away from him. I agree. Yeah. And I think it should be like that. It should have been like that years ago too, to tell you the truth. Yeah. I like that better. It's, it's not like, the heavyweight champion in the world where it's a fight. They went 12 rounds or 10 rounds and it could have went either way. They give it to the champion. Sometimes they give it to the champion when maybe they shouldn't have. Yeah. And it makes the sport a lot more exciting because if somebody loses and can come back, Nobody wants to see the same repetitive. Yeah. Like the year Jay lost and when he came back. It was amazing he came back and won. Yeah. It really was. Unbelievable. I think about that when I look at some of those old contests, like between Arnold and Sergio. Like if Arnold would have lost to Sergio, what a great rematch that would have been the next year, And honestly, he should have a couple of those years. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And maybe even Ronnie too. Ronnie could have lost it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Almost, you could say that just about any bodybuilder. You know, think about how hard it is to dial in and be perfect 8 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, you get a cold, you have a stomach ache, you ate bad food. So many things could happen within that time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And plus the mental pressure too, coming back and you got all that.
Huge.
Yeah. Who do you see as some of the front runners now, Steve, if you want to talk about that for the Olympia?
Well, I mean, Derek, you got to look at Derek. I still think Labrada is good.
Yeah.
I think Nick is good. I think there's a lot of good bodybuilders right now. I really do. I think there's a lot coming up, and I think it's an exciting time.
Yeah.
It's not a boring time. I mean, look, our current Mr. Olympia is unbelievable.
Yeah.
But if Derek, who just had a whole year to prepare without worrying about weight, puts his legs together and his chest together, that's going to be a battle right there.
Mm-hmm.
Those two guys are going to battle. And I saw pictures of Labrada. He looked amazing.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Honestly, 2 years ago, he looked great. Last year, he looked horrible, honestly.
Yeah.
But he looks great again. And Nick, he's a monster. He always comes in shape. Not the prettiest body, but always in condition and always ready.
Yeah. Does Nick kind of remind you of Dorian with his dedication?
I don't know him enough to really to make that comment. I don't. I mean, I know him to say hi. I never really had an in-depth conversation with him more than hi and how you doing sort of thing.
Yeah.
But he's very impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah. He just seems so focused on the contest, and it seems like even after the show's over, he starts training again for the next
right
one.
back to training again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dorian always took a month off.
Did he? Yeah.
He went to Hawaii for a month. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Always took a month off.
Yeah. Ronnie did that too, right? He would take a couple months off.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing to do, honestly.
Yeah.
I think getting right back into the gym after you just killed yourself for 16 to 20 weeks is rough.
Yeah. You got to see Dorian train at your gym. How was that?
I trained with him. We were training partners, believe it or not.
Oh, really? Okay.
I was 275 then. I could actually lift weights.
How was that doing the low sets and all out intensity like that?
It was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
But what Dorian messed up was he built the body that he built, and he kept trying to get it an inch better, a quarter of an inch better. Instead of cruising those last couple of years, those last 3 years, he shouldn't have been banging it as hard as he has. And if you talk to him now, he'll even tell you that.
Yeah, I've seen him.
Should have backed up a little bit.
Yeah.
I think his hip went, his bicep went.
Yeah, I think he even mentioned you in some of the interviews saying that, you were telling him to do that. Yeah.
Please slow down. But this guy was like this.
Yeah.
Couldn't talk to him. Could not talk. He was a robot.
Well, it was the type of training he was doing too, because it was so all out intensity and he was just training heavier and heavier and heavier, right? And your body can only take so much.
And he would not stop. He just would not stop.
And then like
right up to the show.
Yeah, when he's dieting, he's more susceptible to injury, because his body fat's lower. Yeah. So as a judge, Steve, when you look at these guys, whether it's pro or amateur, you're taking into account all these factors, not only the size, but the shape, the symmetry, the definition, the conditioning. Which one is more important, or are they all the same?
They're all the same, but shape and condition kill. Conditioning, you could take a guy without really the best shape in really good condition and beat a guy with better conditioning.
Yeah.
Conditioning is so important. I mean, some guys with great shape could get over because they have such great shape and maybe not in the best condition. But condition, you get a guy in condition. I mean, Flex Wheeler, no one had better shape than him.
Right.
But if he just would have dialed it in just a little bit more, I'm sure he would have had a few Sandals. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
No one had a better body than him.
Well,
that was the best body. I mean, really.
Yeah. Well, like you just said earlier, if a guy could come in smaller and still do really well, as long as he's got the physique and he's ripped.
That would be Flex.
Yeah.
Flex and Ronnie. When Ronnie beat him in New York, everyone thought for sure Flex was going to be Mr. Olympia.
Right.
Ronnie kept doing those quarter turns, and that mass and that conditioning beat flex.
Yeah.
That was what when conditioning won.
Yeah. Yeah.
On that day.
It seems like also the last few years I've been noticing the guys are getting better symmetry. Their waists are coming in tighter, and they're more concerned with that.
You know, Nick, who doesn't have nice shape, improved his shape beautifully last year.
Yeah.
He had his shape was pleasing. I think guys are working on that, and I think that's a great thing.
I do too. Yeah, it's really making them look a lot better than they used to look.
Nick looked a lot better last year than he looked the year before, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny when you look at some of these old Olympias, like from the 70s and 80s. Sometimes the guys who were the reigning Mr. Olympias, like I think Zane did this and Haney did this, they would come back and they'd be actually lighter. They wouldn't be bigger because they just felt like they could still improve by being more refined and more cut.
Well, it was amazing what Zane did.
Yeah.
I mean, guys like Robbie Robinson, and you know what I mean? It's just, what he did was unbelievable, really.
Yeah. What do you feel about Zane's physique as a judge, Steve?
Very impressive. Not the kind of physique I would want as a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
But very impressive.
Yeah.
I prefer more of a Robbie Robinson, a more muscular type body.
Yeah.
But Zane, just, Zane was perfect to put us in the general public's eye.
Mm-hmm.
He could walk into a place in a tank top and shorts and not look like a lunatic.
Right.
Where he could fit in but look amazing.
Yeah. Do you think it's important in the bodybuilding world now to appeal to the general public, or?
Honestly, no. I don't think it would be nice if we had a general public, but we are a niche sport and we're always going to be a niche sport. And I think by trying to sell it to the general public, I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah.
I think, people like Frank Zane or Chris Bumstead will get more of a general audience and more fans because they look that way. Like Chris Bumstead, I mean, you got high school kids that love him.
Oh,
he's so popular.
Yeah.
Because of the way he looks. He's very muscular. He's got a great body, but he's not over the top.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think Chris is responsible for classic physique growing so much, or do you think it's just people like that division? People like that look.
People really like that division. I think he's a huge help for it. Huge star, superstar.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the Frank Zane or the Arnold of that division right now. I mean, he's a rock star.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was in my gym about 2 months ago, and he took a couple of pictures on Instagram, and people that weren't even members of my gym came to the gym to take pictures of him. It was amazing. It was like unbelievable. Where are these people coming from?
Yeah, I know. It is.
So
I think he's got like 9 million followers on Instagram or something.
And they follow him, boy. They came into the gym.
Yeah.
I had to tell him, look, you got to wait outside. He wants to train.
Right. How good do you know Arnold?
Hi, how are you? I've had conversations with him about judging and bodybuilding, but that's about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was on in Australia. Tony Doherty set up a yacht around Australia.
Oh,
and
cool.
I sat with him and had a long talk with him, which was very nice.
Yeah.
So I've had conversations with him.
Yeah. What do you think of his whole career, his whole life, and how he promoted bodybuilding and what influence he had on the sport of bodybuilding?
He made bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Honestly, without a doubt, he made bodybuilding.
Yeah.
The movie Pumping Iron, then him going to Hollywood and never forgetting his roots and becoming the governor. What he did was amazing. I mean, that's just unbelievable.
Yeah. And he continued to promote it with the Arnold Classic.
And he still does to this day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, when I got into bodybuilding, and I started in 1977, so that was the year that Pumping Iron came out and his book came out. So he was going around the country doing interviews with radio shows, TV shows. I mean, he was relentless, and I mean, just the marketing he did was incredible. And
his personality is just
yeah.
I had that. That was the first book I bought, Education of a Bodybuilder.
Yeah. And people don't realize today what an influence that was, because I mean, back then bodybuilding was considered a real weirdo sport. They thought bodybuilders were stupid. They thought, they had no personality. And then he gets up there and he's joking around with these people. And,
full of personality. All he is personality.
Yeah.
You know, he was great. He really was.
Yeah. And he was so confident too. Like he would go on the Johnny Carson show, which people don't realize this today because people don't even remember who Johnny Carson was. It's like that was the biggest talk show in the country. And he would go on there and he was so calm and so confident. He would joke around with these guys. It was amazing. I don't think anybody could have did it like Arnold did, you know?
No, he honestly, he took the sport to a different level. And he's still involved. He's a big one with the judging. In fact, the Arnold Classic, we judge the posing because he wants that. We do judge the posing.
Right.
That round is judged at the Arnold Classic because he insists.
Yeah. What do you think about some other Mr. Olympia winners like Jay Cutler? Jay's another great ambassador for the sport, right?
Jay Cutler is, take away Arnold, smartest bodybuilder I know.
Yeah.
He's still as popular as he is now as he was when he was Mr. Olympia. He's booked every weekend. I watch him because, I do a couple of shows with him in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
He stays until the last fan is gone. A little kid comes, he gives him a photo.
Mm-hmm.
Takes photos with everyone, anyone, answers everyone's questions. He is the ultimate professional.
Yeah. And he's looking amazing, too. He's turning 50 this year.
He looks great for 50. He really does.
Yeah.
But I think what Arnold did was amazing, and what Jay did as a bodybuilder is amazing.
Yeah, he's a great businessman, but like you said, he's very personable with his fans, and he's always been like that, even when he was Mr. Olympia.
Always has time for everyone.
Yeah.
Never say no to a picture. Always giving pictures to young kids. He's just a real, besides a smart businessman, he's genuinely a really nice guy.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think about Ronnie's physique when you look at his reign as Mr. Olympia from 1998 to 2006, I think, or 2005? Do you think his physique, he got much bigger throughout the years? Do you think it improved, or do you think he was at his best when he first
I think he took it a little too far, but I'm so impressed with his physique.
Yeah.
So impressed. I mean, his when he was on those first 3 years.
Yeah.
I think the first 3 years he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think he got a little too big after that, honestly.
Yeah.
But those first 3 years, I mean, he'd come in here at 10 o'clock at night and squat 800 pounds. I mean, he just, put his headphones on, not putting on no show, no one watching, 800 pounds, ass to the ground. He was amazing.
Yeah.
He'd do walking lunges from the front door to the street and back with 100-pound dumbbells.
Jeez.
I never saw anyone strong like that in my life.
Yeah, I know.
Never.
Yeah. Do you think we'll ever see a physique like that again?
I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever see a bodybuilder as strong as that again, to tell you the truth.
Right.
He was so crazy strong.
Yeah.
I remember in Northridge, California, seeing Burl Fox for the first time doing, I think, 90-pound dumbbell presses. I thought, holy shit. But I think, after seeing Ronnie, Burl Fox doesn't even impress me.
Right.
What are your thoughts? By far the strongest bodybuilder I've ever seen.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about how he is now with all the injuries and stuff?
It's sad. I love him, but his attitude is great.
Yeah.
He's still, I wouldn't change anything. I'm happy, and I'm glad he's happy. But I hate seeing it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. He does have a strong mind, I'll tell you. He's always smiling, and all those surgeries he went through and everything.
And he's always in a good mood.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's sad, honestly. I don't like seeing it.
I don't either, yeah. Such a good guy. I saw you on another show, and you said you don't think anybody will win the Olympia like that again, like 8 times in a row. Because
no, I don't think
so much competition, and yeah.
There's no like even last year, it was nobody dominated. He won, but he didn't dominate. You know what I mean?
Hottie, yeah.
Yeah, he won. He deserved to win. He was the winner, but he didn't dominate. It wasn't like Hottie and then 5 places back was everybody else.
Right.
Like he's going to have to really bring it.
Yeah.
Because I do believe Derek is going to bring it. Labrada is going to bring it. Nick is going to bring it. And, any of them could win. I mean, Nick really improved his shape. He's no one to take lightly.
Yeah.
And Labrada looks great. When I saw him guest pose at Jim Banion's show in Pittsburgh this year, I was blown away. And that was when I saw Derek last year, and I thought, this guy is going to be so dangerous.
Yeah.
So dangerous.
Yeah.
He's got that little waist and that big back.
Yeah.
He's just, whoa.
Yeah, he's always had the incredible shape, and now he's got the size to go along with it.
Yes. And he had a whole year to prepare without worrying about weight.
Yeah. I just saw a video of Hunter, and he looks amazing. I guess he's going in Tampa this weekend.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's very impressive. I mean, he's just he's got that family blood. I mean, his father was great.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Lee looks unbelievable, doesn't he? I mean, I think
he's the best bodybuilder for his age.
Yeah.
He's the best looking bodybuilder there is. His shooting is unbelievable.
I know. The guy doesn't age at all. He's incredible.
He looks like he's 30 years old.
I know, he does. So how do you like the gym business, Steve? Obviously, you've been in a long time, and
I love it.
One of the best gyms in the country.
This is going on year 37.
Wow.
And I love it. I'm here every day.
Yeah. And how much has the gym gotten bigger since you guys started?
We started with 5,000 square feet, and now we're just under 30.
Wow.
But when we opened up the gym, everyone said, don't open the gym. It's never going to make it. You're not going to do it. We were like, we'll just try. And, 37 years later, they were wrong.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's an incredible. That's a long life of owning the gym.
Yeah, and I still love it. I love coming to the gym every day. I love training. I love buying equipment.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, Steve. Well, I'll let you go. I know you're busy. You're running the business there, but I appreciate you coming on the show and talking a little bit about bodybuilding. It was good talking to you. I always wanted to talk to you about your past because I saw you in that movie, years ago, and I know you've been involved in the sport for a long time. So it's great to talk to you.
Great talking to you too.
All right,
and I'll
Steve.
see you this weekend.
Yeah, I'll see you this weekend in Tampa.
All right.
All right, Steve. Take care, buddy.
Bye-bye.